Welcome, electronic video guests, to the outer limits of the trading card hobby. In today's video, we're going to do something a little bit different. It might scare you, it might make you a little uncomfortable, but we're just going to offer a brief comment on something I've noticed in the autograph collecting hobby. I've been watching these various TTM videos on YouTube for about 4 months or so now. And I've noticed, as you no doubt have also noticed, many of the athletes will write a Bible verse along with their autograph on the card. Like here, Howard Johnson, putting a little Bible verse down there at the bottom of the card. Well, some of these athletes even send along their own personal Christian tracts, like these here, from Bobby Richardson, or Bobby Bryant, or Frank Tanana, or Joe Moeller. Now, what strikes me is the hesitancy to discuss the tracts or Bible verses. I don't think I've ever actually heard anyone say the name Jesus, which is who these tracts and verses are about. Maybe I'm just imagining it, but there seems to be an uneasiness with the issue. Maybe people just don't think that YouTube videos for autograph collectors are the proper forum for any type of so-called religious content. We live in a world in which spiritual matters are largely ignored and considered relics from less enlightened and scientific times. I've never noticed anybody actually expressing any anger over receiving the tract or having a card autographed with a Bible verse on it. And I'm sure nobody would send a letter to an athlete or celebrity and say, "Oh, one more thing. If you sign the card, please don't put any of that Bible garbage on it." Nobody would do that. It's just the unease with the situation that I noticed as people try to rush through very quickly or even ignore the Bible verses or the tracts. I've never seen anybody actually stop and discuss the tract or the Bible verse. As I said, maybe people think keep all that religious stuff out of a TTM YouTube autograph video. Maybe they think people don't want to hear any of their religious chatter. Or maybe they fret they might lose a subscriber or somebody might hit the dislike button. But for me, this hobby, these videos are done purely for my own amusement. And in doing this hobby, I really enjoy getting the tracts and Bible verses. I sent a letter to somebody asking them for an autograph, and they've taken the time to reply, even if in the most ritualistic, robotic, or automatic fashion. For whatever degree of authentic care, they're trying to tell me something with that Bible verse or their tract. Even if they're doing it out of mere obligation to their faith, even if it's a nearly 100% impersonal act, they're still trying to tell you something because they feel they have to. Now, most of the athletes and celebrities just sign their name. They're not trying to tell you anything, but they could write on there, "Enjoy Coca-Cola," but they don't. Some of these athletes, even if it's in the most impersonal fashion possible, they feel required to tell you something. And I just find it very interesting. Nobody seems to want to discuss what the athlete is trying to tell them. Jesus told his followers some 2,000 years ago, "Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature." Now here we are 20 centuries later, And these celebrities, these men of great renown, to whatever degree of genuine feeling or concern for your soul, are following that command and trying to preach the gospel in their replies to your autograph request. I wonder how many people, when they get these tracts back with the autograph card or they see the Bible verse, have ever stopped to think, is there actually some greater power out there trying to tell me something through this little hobby of mine? Is there anything to these little Bible verses or tracts? Or is it just a curious relic some of these athletes have? Some superstitious beliefs on their part, and so they just ignore the Bible verses and don't even consider the possibility there's a message right there for them, and it may have an eternal consequence. It might be the most important message, the most important words they will ever receive in their entire lives, and they just brush right over it. Don't even consider the possibility of what has been given to them through the mail. Now I gotta say, this Joe Moeller track is the one that most closely matches with my view on the gospel of Jesus. So we're just going to read a little brief excerpt here. Joe says, I had accepted Christ into my heart at a young age, but I wanted to be the architect to draw up my own plans and get God's stamp of approval on what I did. The bright promise of my career was never fully realized. 2 failed messages, along with some business failures, left their mark. But I see my career and my life from a different perspective now, God's perspective. Success in life is not determined by performance, income, or fame. Those things will not get us into heaven. I realize no amount of wealth, fame, or personal pleasure could fill the emptiness in my life, because no matter how much I had, it wouldn't be enough. And Joe goes on to give the answer. What would be enough? The interesting thing is, as Joe points out quite clearly, the answer is found in Jesus. That's what these Bible verses and tracts call out. As Jesus said, who has ears to hear, let him hear.